What I want to talk to you about today is an introduction to support teams so you can begin to catch the vision of the possibilities of how people can help people in communities and make a real difference in their life. When I think about support teams, I think about several areas, and one of them has to do with people who need care. And people who need care. And people who need care are everywhere. They're our friends and our neighbors, and they're people we know, their family. There are lots of people who need care. And what we're talking about here is mostly people with health care issues, but we're not talking about doing home health care. We're not medical professionals, at least most of us are not. And so we want to figure out what can we do to help and to make a difference. And so there are people who need care. And there are also people who want to care. These are people like you and me. We want to make a difference, but I don't know if you're like me in that sometimes, as much as I would like to help, I'm afraid that if I volunteer, I'm going to get in over my head with somebody's needs are going to be greater than I can meet. And so maybe a good metaphor to think about is for us to maybe think about it, some way to bridge. In fact, a bridge might. And so put this bridge picture in there so that we can begin to imagine, if you will, that people who need care and people who want to care, we need a way to connect them up. And so a model is what we call support teams. And we'll just put support teams right here. Support team as a way to connect these two up. Well, what kind of things do support teams do? Well, they're kind of general areas that I would summarize them in, like practical kinds of needs, practical, emotional needs, I'll give you a few examples, and spiritual. Of course, that's defined differently by a lot of folks. But practical needs, I'm talking about things like someone who's sick to maybe pick up their medicines for them at the pharmacy, or to bring over a meal when they're not able to cook and bring them their favorite food or something like that. Emotional support, we're talking about people when we pick up the phone and call them, or go over and see them when it's a good time for them, or to give them encouragement, maybe write them a note. Spiritual support could be offering prayers for someone, but it could be so much more than that too. It's really putting your faith into action. It's not just talking about our spiritual support, but it's actually doing what we say we believe and doing that maybe in practical and emotional ways. And so people who need care, people who want to care, can be connected with support teams. And maybe one of the quickest ways to talk about this is to think about a person and somebody I know, and her name, we'll call her Sue. And Sue has had a new diagnosis and has some health problems. Her family lives, let's say, all over the country. They're spread out, and so she doesn't have family close by. And thank goodness, though, that Sue has a friend. We'll call her Tina. And Tina is wanting to help, but because of job and responsibilities related to family, she's afraid she may get overcommitted. And so Tina has a great idea to pull together some friends of hers and form a team. And that's where this support team comes in. So she talks with Sue about that. And Sue reluctantly agrees because she doesn't really like asking for help, but Tina is going to make it easy for her to do that, so that she just talks to Tina about that, and Tina does the work for her. And so Sue comes up with several different needs that when she and Tina are talking together. And on the other hand, Tina pulls together a group of 3, 4, 5 other people. Could be a whole lot more. It could be not probably less than 3. And they come up with some things that they would like to do for Sue if it would be helpful. And so Tina, after the meeting, gets with Sue and makes sure, Sue, these are the things you said you needed, but we are willing to do some of these things over here as well. Would that be helpful? And they talk about that and agree on it. And the team comes up with a calendar for the next month. And that calendar is basically saying when and what people are going to do, so that we all don't show up on the same day. It's a way to coordinate our care, so that you and I both don't go over to visit and really make Sue tired by having too many visitors, or we try to do too many things on the same day. So, people who need care, there are people who want to care. The support team helps the person who needs care in practical, emotional, and spiritual support. And the team coordinates that through a calendar, and through a regular meeting. They can decide how often that is, and we'll talk about that further. And everyone gets to do what they're able to do, and we'll go from there. Intro to support teams. A way to make a difference in people's lives.